Hello. Happy Monday. Welcome to How to Find More Clients for Your Coaching Business. I'm McKenna Sage, and we are here. If you're watching this live, we're here in the Mastery of Coaching Facebook group. If you're watching the replay, you might be watching on YouTube, Instagram, or another platform. And I highly recommend that you engage live as we're going through the training today, meaning engage in the comments, even if you're watching the replay, because it's going to help you get the most out of today by really not multitasking and being distracted, but really engaging here with us. So, with that being said, today's topic is how to find more clients for your coaching business. And this is a topic that I get asked about a lot. It's probably the number one kind of pain point or challenge that I hear. And so, what I want to talk about today is first to tell a couple of stories from my own journey of, going from going from an online marketing business that I ran for 6 years to coaching. And some of you know this story, but I think it's really important to share that when I first went to make the shift into coaching, I said, I'm done, doing what I'm doing. Like many of you, maybe you're in a job or, you know, you have some other career or business and you're going, I don't want to be doing this anymore. I want to be coaching. I want to be working with people. And you have that passion for what you do. Hi, Nina. Yeah, by the way, say hello in the chat. I'd love to hear that you can see and hear me and that, who's here watching today so we can make this really interactive. So just put a little hello in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from. So rewinding to 2017, early 2017, and I said, I'm done with what I'm doing. I'm ready to step into coaching. I had a lot of coaching experience. I had been helping coach in a mastermind program for 3 years. I had grown up in the coaching industry. So I was like, I feel like I'm pretty qualified, right? And so I said, okay, I'm going to start posting on social media and share that I'm going to be coaching and basically wait for the clients to roll in. And so that's what I did. And I, putting myself out there, I'm super excited, sharing about my new business, and pretty much it was crickets. I don't know if any of you have had that experience. If so, you could say I relate in the comments that, you're all excited, you put all this time and energy and enthusiasm into starting to share that you're coaching, and then it just feels like it kind of falls flat. Like there's just not a lot of response. And it's disheartening, right? I was really discouraged. I did end up getting through a lot of outreach and hustle and networking. I got one client and I had like a simple monthly package I designed. And so I started working with her, and I think we worked together for like a month or two. And then she basically said, I can't afford to keep going. And she canceled. And so here I am, used to running a six-figure business and, making 10K plus a month, trying to step into coaching and making like a few $100s in my first couple of months. And I was just like, whoa, I can't afford to do this, And I had to earn in order to support myself. So we've got Julie, hello, Nina, Portia, welcome. And Nina's in east part of England. Okay, awesome. So it was super embarrassing, really disheartening, and I ended up kind of quietly going back to my marketing work and just kind of forgetting about the coaching thing. So I share this story not to discourage you all, but to say that I understand if you are sitting in that kind of position right now, or you've been going for it and getting clients, and anything that resembles what I went through, I get it because I've been there and it was painful. And I learned a lot through that process. But for a little while, I was just like, maybe I'm not supposed to coach, right? Maybe this isn't meant to be. I feel like I really went for it and it didn't work. And that was super, yeah, like I said, disheartening. So fast forward about a year, and I had been having for some time anxiety, panic attacks. I was having a lot of signs from my body, health issues that were saying you need to make a change in your career. I felt that deep down call to something more. I wanted to be contributing in a bigger way. I wanted to be, changing lives with this work that I wanted to do. And I was like, my heart's in the right place, but I'm scared because I tried and failed once before. And so fast forward, like I said, about a year, and I was led through a process that really helped me by a coach, by my mentor, that really helped me get crystal clear on what I wanted, my vision, what was holding me back, which was really important. Like, why had I kind of failed before, and what was also holding me back from really going for it and going all in on it again. And that process was my turning point, and it really catalyzed me in that next, so now we're in early 2018, in those next 8 months, replacing my income through coaching and a six-figure income. So in about 8 months, I had hit, 6 figures, and was able to transition out of my marketing work into coaching full time. So again, and then from there continue to grow a multiple six-figure, successful coaching business. So I've kind of gone the spectrum, right? Everything from trying and failing, being really discouraged, to going for it again and having success, and then continuing to grow in that success over the years that followed. So I want to talk today about what changed. What are the strategies that I use to really get clients in that second go around? What made the difference? Hi, Pauline. Welcome from London. We have a couple of England friends today. And then Julie's in Texas. Great. So first of all, I want to know, what have you already tried? Those of you watching right now, if you're on live or even on the replay, what have you already tried to get clients that maybe hasn't worked? And if it worked, just say worked next to it. So you could say like, this worked, this didn't work, right? But tell me, what have you already tried that hasn't really been working? That's going to give me a sense of where you all are at. And then I'll share some of what really worked for me. So while you're doing that, while you're typing in the chat, I'll talk a little about what didn't work for me. Okay, so some things that didn't work for me: posting on social media and waiting for the clients to show up. This was what I did my first go around. That was not successful, or I did end up getting the one client, but that was it. And I really felt like, okay, I'm going to share what I'm doing. I'm going to be putting myself out there, and the right people are going to be magnetized to that. And I'm going to get clients. And it just didn't really work out like that, unfortunately. And I've seen a lot of other people that come to me. I remember a particular client came to me. She said, I posted every single day on Instagram for a year, and I didn't get a single client. Can you believe that? Like, every single day, she was so consistent. She felt like she was being brave, putting herself out there, and didn't get a single client. So obviously there's a bit of a mismatch there, right? That's something that's not quite working for a lot of people when they're focusing so much time and energy on social media content, but it's not actually turning into clients. So Courtney says social media marketing has not worked. So right there, in line with what I was just talking about. Julie, same thing. Social media didn't work. Yeah, so what else have you guys tried? I'm curious, that didn't work. And then if you've tried anything that has worked, let me know. So that didn't really work for me. Another thing that didn't really work for me was trying to get everything perfect before I went out to get clients. This is something that I see a lot in my clients that, again, come and work with us. Oh, by the way, that client that didn't get a single client for a year from posting on social media came in, started working with us, and started landing clients left and right. And because she really got her what I call like her lead generation flow in place, and she used a lot of the strategies I'm going to talk about today. So planning and getting everything perfect, spending weeks or months, planning your brand, your packages, your pricing, your perfect website. Like, a lot of energy and time goes into the website a lot of the time. And still a lot of times when people do this, no sales, right? It's like they have this amazing brand and all these resources, but no sales. I was just at a lunch with someone yesterday, and she was telling me she's getting all this stuff together and to really start growing her business. But when it came down to it, and I started talking to her about actually having some conversations with people about enrolling for her packages, all her fear and resistance came up, right? So and this is what happens, it's a sneaky form of resistance, is that we want to focus on all these different things, but we don't want to actually get into those conversations around enrolling clients. So, and she didn't even think she had resistance around it. It wasn't until we dug a little deeper that she really saw, right, that was there. And then another one was listening to a ton of different experts and strategies. When I first was trying to launch my business in 2017, and failed, I was just kind of trying to hodgepodge it together. I was like, I've got this covered, right? There's lots of free resources online. I can YouTube videos. I can, watch webinars from different people, and I can put some kind of strategy together. But again, it didn't really work. And I think the reason it didn't work is not because you shouldn't learn from experts or different coaches, but it's because I needed to choose. I needed to choose an expert, choose a strategy that I felt confident was the one, or that I felt confident was the person that was going to help me get to where I needed to go. And so getting support was actually a huge part of my journey. Trying to figure it out on my own was another thing that really didn't work. But trying to hodgepodge it together, this is something I hear a lot, is that people have like 10 different mini programs they're trying to go through, or they're watching webinars every other day, or they're doing all these different things, and they're not getting in there, making a choice about who they want to invest with, and investing and saying, this is it, this is what I'm going to go for, right? So that really didn't work either. Let's see what you guys said. Julie says referrals work. Absolutely, especially from happy clients, right? That's definitely a great way. Courtney says marketing on other sites has worked, aka collaboration. I'm curious, like, what kind of sites are you talking about there, Courtney? And she said nothing from my site, blog, or podcast. So again, a lot of things you're doing there, a lot of things. And it sounds like getting little to no results, right? Hi, Dustin. Nice to see you. Nina says putting out written posts about parts of my life. These are things that haven't worked, right, Nina? Trying to put my passion for future work, place, and how I phrase info included, reading through posts from people. So these are things that haven't worked. Is that right, Nina? Okay, so let's get to what has worked. So basically, I kind of broke it down into 3 different areas today. If you guys want to write this down, if you're taking notes, you can do that. And the 3 areas are, this is what changed when I went from trying and failing to start my coaching business to successfully building a 6-figure plus business about a year later. The first was mindset. So self-doubt is something we talk about a lot in this group. If you guys weren't on my call last week and you want that recording, let me know. You can say, send me the recording in the chat. And we'll send you the link. The only thing, anytime you guys put in the chat, you have to make sure you're friends with me on Facebook. Otherwise, if I message you, you won't see it. Or you can just message me and say, can I have the recording? And we'll be sure to get that to you. So just make sure you say the self-doubt recording. So I know what you're talking about. So last week we did a whole call on self-doubt, but the mindset piece is really, really important. When I talk to people on the clarity calls that I do, which I think a lot of you know what those are at this point, those are the free 30-minute coaching sessions that I offer here in the group, as kind of like my give to you and a chance for you to really experience some of our coaching. And so we really break down in that call what are, similar to what I really looked at in my turning point moment, we break down what is your vision and goals, and then what's holding you back? What are the problems or the things getting in the way of you getting there, so that we can see how to help you move through them. So if you're curious about one of those calls, you can type clarity in the chat here. And again, make sure that we're friends on Facebook so I can message you. If we're not, please friend request me or send me a message. So the mindset piece, what was I saying? I got distracted there. Oh, when I do those calls, what typically happens is I find that most of the challenges that people are having that are getting in the way actually fall into these three to four categories. I'm calling it 3, but really it's kind of 4. One is mindset, which is often self-doubt, fears, things like that are getting in the way of putting yourself out there. The second one is strategy, meaning what's the actual marketing strategy you're going to follow, right? A lot of you said you've tried social media, you've tried different things, and it hasn't really worked. So we'll talk about why in just a moment, but that is one of the other big pieces. And I'm kind of lumping this in with strategy, but it really is kind of its own area. I said strategy and sales. Sales is another huge piece. If you have not done sales training, it's something that is, I think, very needed in the coaching industry, especially because it's not a service like, I don't know, selling nails and hammers or something. People know they need nails and hammers. They go to you to buy nails and hammers, and that's it, right? It's very different when you're doing a service that is really about people like changing their lives, and they're going to be at all different stages of readiness to buy. They're going to have sometimes fears and doubts. A lot of people have never invested in themselves that way. They think it's very intangible. It feels like, what's the tangible benefit this is going to bring to my life. So being able to guide people through those conversations in such a way that it's really authentic, it's never pushy or salesy, and it gets them to say yes, that's hugely, hugely important. So again, what we're talking about here, and I'd love to know in the chat which of these feels like the biggest one for you, or maybe it's all of the above. Is it the mindset, the fears and doubts, or the self-doubt that keeps you kind of stuck or keeps you from really going for it? Is it the strategy, just not knowing the steps to take, the marketing to do that's actually going to work for you? And is there anything around sales for you, or any fear of, any not lack of clarity about how to guide someone through that process, or any fears of asking for money, or, feeling pushy or salesy? So go ahead and type in the chat mindset, strategy, and or sales. Which of those feels like they're challenges for you right now? And then the last one I put here was support. So again, for me, this is what made the biggest difference. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. So maybe that's one for you as well. Mindset, strategy, sales, or support. Let's see, specifically nonviolent communication site, where I was one of many other practitioners. That's great. Awesome that you found some success there, Courtney. So more of that kind of thing, right? Courtney wants the self-doubt recording. I think we're already connected as friends. Courtney, Julie, self-doubt recording as well. I know we're already connected. Great. Nina, just things I've tried and trying. Clarity. Okay. So for Julie, you said sales and asking for money is the biggest challenge. Well, I know we have a call coming up, Julie, so I think we'll definitely talk more about that, and I'll touch on it a little bit today. Who else? What are the biggest challenges for you? Mindset, strategy, sales, or just getting support, not trying to figure it out on your own? So the mindset I kind of touched on already. I think the video from last week is really where you can deep dive into that one. Strategy is really about, the biggest thing here is that what I see is that people are trying to do this kind of one size fits all. They think like, and they focus on the flashy things like, oh, people who are posting a lot on social media, that must be what I need to do. And by the way, I'm not saying don't post on social media. You'll notice that I'm very active on social media, but it's not the only piece, if that makes sense. There's a lot of other things I'm doing. The social media is more an added piece for me to be consistently visible, for people to be hearing, getting curious about me, but it's rarely directly brought me clients. Sometimes, a couple times over the years, but not so often. So for me, that's more of a visibility piece and a credibility piece, because people are seeing me and hearing me consistently around topics that I teach about, or things that I've gone through, or things I help my clients about or around. But it's more of an addition, right? So strategy for me really comes down to what are your magnetizers? I don't know why my do not disturb mode on my computer is not working this morning, so we're getting lots of little dings. So we talk about magnetizers in our programs, which is what are the things that you do that make you magnetic? Like, where's your energy and aliveness? Like for me, I love recording these lives. It's super fun for me. And often they've led to clients because people see me, they hear me, they build trust with me, and I'm providing a lot of value, and then they become curious and become clients. Other things that I really feel lit up and alive about are photo shoots, so I incorporate a lot of those into my business. I feel really lit up and alive about personal, like just outreach, talking to people, hosting live events, speaking. So these are a lot of the things that I focus on in my marketing. And so it's really a matter of you seeing for you what are those things that make you magnetic? What are you genuinely curious about? Not just because you saw someone else doing it, but because it feels like, ooh, even if it scares you, because it might scare you at first, that's where your energy and your interest really is. Okay. So what are those for you? What do you guys think? Some of your magnetizers. It doesn't have to be something you're already doing. It could be something you're curious about and not doing yet, or something you used to do and you've kind of fallen off on. And now if you're doing your magnetizers and it's not working, that's again where you really need to get support and learn from someone who's utilized those magnetizers effectively to get clients. So for example, I teach strategies in our program for lots of different magnetizers. So, if you feel like small events in your home is something you want to try, or local events you want to host, then I teach a strategy that you can apply to not just host events, but actually then take people who are curious into a conversation and then lead them through your lead generation flow to enroll them as a client. So it's really important to have the kind of the proven system behind the strategy, if that makes sense. But first, you want to identify what is the strategy that really fits for you. So Courtney says logistics. I don't have a great space to practice. I'm not sure what you mean by that practice, Courtney. So let me know. And then, sorry, I'm just looking for your messages here. Keeps going up to the top. Okay, here. Mindset, lack of sales training. So Nina, did you get the self-doubt? Oh, you said the self-doubt recording request. Okay, got it. It keeps jumping around, so love all the comments, just trying to read them. Okay, strategy, yes, I love the idea of magnetizers. Awesome, Portia. Courtney, wanting to post reels and have a block about my look. So that's something you're curious about as a magnetizer then, Courtney. Have you gotten, I can't remember, the self-doubt, you watched the video from last week, and then there's also a guide that I just developed with a recording in it and everything. I think it's like $20. So if you guys want, if you're curious about that, the $20, because it's a lot more extensive than what I go into the training last week. If you just know you want that already, type self-doubt in the chat. But again, make sure your friend requests me first, and that way I can message you. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. Okay. What else? Because I think, Courtney, that's a self-doubt piece that you could really work through. Julie, vendor events would be a magnetizer. Okay, great. Portia, I like small group calls and short videos. Awesome. So you're starting to identify what some of those could be for you. So it's great to start to move in that direction. But again, you want to have the proven system behind the strategy to make sure that you're actually, making those calls to action and people are reaching out and you're setting up, the conversations and then leading them through a process, which really takes us to the next piece, which is sales. So I've really shifted from calling it sales to calling it making invitations, because I find the word sales brings up a lot of with people. Anybody feel that way? If so, type yes in the chat. And so if you feel that way about sales, or if any part of that makes you nervous, uncomfortable, asking for money, etc., this is a piece that is so important. And it is when I really turned things around in 2018 and was able to grow my income quickly. It started hugely with sales training, with really learning a proven system for authentic sales. And in that, I started having more calls, leading people through this breakthrough session. And then in that session, if they were a fit, I might invite them to come in and work with me, using the approach that I was really taught. And at first it was really challenging. I did a lot of enrollment calls, and nobody was saying yes. And I remember just crying and feeling so hard on myself and I don't think I can do this. But something happened when I stuck with it, and I just kept going and going and going, and I got enough no's, and then eventually I started getting yeses. And then I remember it's I went on this streak at one point, and I got 7 enrollments in a row. So out of 7 enrollment calls, all 7 said yes. And it was such a great feeling, right? Not only because I was earning with what I love to do, but because I was then able to go and work with those people and make a contribution in their lives. So to me, selling, or we could call it making invitations, maybe making invitations with intention, because you need to have, again, that proven system behind it, is a way of being in service. Many of you watching this video right now, you have a need in some way, right? I know, Julie, you're going through our Package Your Wisdom program right now, and you had a desire, a need to get clarity on a lot of those things. And so it was truly us being in service to you to say, hey, we have this offer that could really, really support you. And I think, and I hope you've been loving it. It sounds like you've been moving along in it really, really well. So I'm excited to hear how it's been going. So that's the way it works, you guys. Many of you here on this call might have something you have a need or desire or want to get support around. And if I don't make the invitation to the next step, which for us is the clarity call, and by the way, there's nothing, you need to buy on that clarity call. It's really it's a free coaching session. It's the first step in our invitation process, which is really adding value to you first. That's the way I teach, and that's what we do as well. So we add value to you first, and we both get to get a sense of each other and whether it makes sense for us to even continue the conversation. And if it does, then we can talk about having another call or what the next steps would be. So that is a very invitation-based way of enrollment, right? And so we at every stage both get to feel into, is this feeling like a heck yes? Do we want to continue the conversation? Do you move into the next kind of piece for us to potentially support you? So that's what we really teach. And that is what made a huge difference for me in being able to, find and enroll more clients. And then finally, support, which I talk about a lot, is, like I said, not trying to learn from 10, 15 different people all the time, but really choosing someone that you feel aligned with that is going to teach you and help you with the things that you are challenged by, so that you can move through them more quickly instead of just trying to sit there, figure it out on your own. And a lot of times people say, well, I can't afford that. I don't have any clients yet. I can't afford it. And my question is, can you afford not to get support, right? Whether it's with me or someone else, if you're sitting there trying to figure it out, think about all the months. How much money do you want to be making per month, for example? Let's say you want to even start with $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month or whatever that number is for you, or maybe it's much higher than that. Every month that you don't get this figured out and you don't know the next steps to take or how to break through the things that are keeping you stuck, you're actually losing out on that money. So not only are you guys get what I'm saying here? It's like, not only are you not making, how do I want to word this? Confusing myself. It's like you're not making that money. And yes, so it's an investment to work with a coach, but if you really feel clear and confident that that's the person for you, then it is an investment in your business. Just like going to school, right? Many of us went to university and invested tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in our college educations, but we go, that's normal, right? That's okay. And in coaching, it's like we're talking about much smaller numbers typically than we are in like a 4-year education. And you can start earning your money back much more quickly when it comes to coaching. But we hesitate and we go, oh, I can't afford it, right? Instead of getting resourceful, like that program I went through when I really learned sales a few years ago, I didn't have the money when I signed up for it. I had enough to make the first payment on a credit card. And then I was like, I've got to figure this out, right? I've got to get out there and enroll. And so I'm not saying to put yourself in, where you can't eat or something. That's not the kind of pressure you want to put yourself under. But as long as you're making money somewhere, and I highly recommend having a day job or having something you do while you're growing your coaching business so that you can sustain yourself, then it's really important to go, okay, how am I going to invest in myself? Not only the money, by the way, but also the time, the energy, and really make this a priority if it's what you feel you're meant to do. So I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I do think it's really important in the mindset of investing in yourself, and to do it, not just haphazardly, but strategically, right? Not just like sign up for this program here and there and whatever. Really, again, make sure that this feels like that full heck yes alignment. So Julie says, it's been amazing, so much more clear about who I'm serving. Awesome, Julie. Yeah, and I know we have, like I said, another call where we'll really look at those next pieces of the sales and marketing for you and whatever else has come up for you. She says, invitation sounds much better and true to what we're offering. Asha says, I want to have a greater social media presence where people actually interact with me. I want to do small workshops and retreats in beautiful places. Yeah, I want to touch on that social media one just one more time. And I love those, Asha, in terms of retreats and workshops. And I don't know if you caught the part about magnetizers and that's what you're talking about. But we want to think about what are those like free or inexpensive things you're going to be doing to draw in clients as well. And with the social media presence where people actually interact, I know a lot of people running multiple 6-figure plus coaching businesses, myself included, who might not get that much interaction on our social media posts a lot of the time. Sometimes I only get a few likes. Sometimes I don't get any interaction, but it doesn't mean that people aren't reading and watching. And so I want to get you guys away from the thinking of like vanity metrics, which is, lots of posts, lots of likes and lots of engagement. I know people who have 100,000 social media followers and no clients because they don't know how to actually convert those clients to, make those invitations and convert them into working with them. So I want you guys to make that distinction in your minds that you don't actually always, it's great to get engagement, but you don't always need a lot of engagement to be making a lot of money in your coaching business. Okay, so go ahead and if you haven't already typed in the chat, what is the biggest challenge for you? Mindset, strategy, or what are they? They might be all of the above, right? Mindset, strategy, sales, or support. And then I would love to take questions. Yeah. So, what other questions do you guys have? Because we're going to wrap up here in just a minute on how to get more clients. Is this making sense to you guys in terms of that a lot of people are focusing on kind of like the shiny, social media or getting the website up or doing these things. But when it comes down to it, those aren't actually the things that move the needle. I built a six-figure business and then a multiple six-figure business without having a website up for either. For the first business I got to six figures without a website. The second business I got to the multiple six-figure level before we launched a website. So think about that, you guys. You do not need the pages. You do not need the fancy branding. You do not need any of that to go out and get clients. Now, there comes a point at which you want to have that. It's great to have. It shows a certain level of professionalism and everything else. But at first, you just need to be out there getting clients. So if you're not right now and you feel like you don't know what is maybe you've identified some things today, but you don't really know the path and the next steps to really get you there, then I highly recommend doing one of those clarity calls if you haven't done one already. Again, it's a free 30-minute coaching session, no strings attached, and it's a chance to really talk it through with me and have a conversation to really identify what are those problems so we can see how to fix them. So just type clarity in the chat if you want to do that. That's only available to people who've never done it before. I can't just go give a ton of free coaching sessions out. So it is a one-time offer. And then what did I want to say about that? Make sure you friend request me so that we can message you. Otherwise, we won't be able to message you. All right, let's see if there were any questions. So Courtney says yes. Julie says very helpful. Asha says I like that magnifiers and vanity interactions. Yeah. It's actually magnetizers, but I like magnifiers too. And if you go back, Asha, and watch the rest of the recording, you'll see what I'm talking about there. Courtney, great. We'll reach out to you for a call. And Nina asks, when responding to posts from socials, is one of the first things you tell them that you are a coach or just generally communicate to get the know, like, trust? I'm not sure what you mean by responding to posts from people on social. Do you mean them commenting on your posts or you commenting on their posts or what? Let me think about this. If someone's commenting on my posts, then I'm probably not going to be like talking about, hey, I'm a coach necessarily, unless they talk about it in the post. I would be probably, if I really felt like it was someone I wanted to reach out to and see if there's some way I could support them, I would just start a conversation, like reply to them in the comments and chat with them there a little bit, maybe send them a message and start a conversation there. Many of you I've been in conversation with for a long time on social media. And, if there's some way I can ever see that I can support you, then I offer that. Otherwise, I just see if through the conversation I can add value. So I think it's a shift in focus, Nina, to really seeing like where can you add value, and then there will come a moment if you're asking the right kinds of questions where you'll see if there's a pain or a challenge somebody has that you could support them with, and then you want to take them through your lead generation flow, which is a series of usually calls if you're a coach, to establish trust, to see if you could support them if they're curious, and then at some point enroll them. So it's a lengthy process, but if you guys are selling reasonably high ticket, which could be various levels for each of you, then it's worth that time to outreach like that. And if you think about all the time you're spending on social media and everything else that's not working, then this is a far more effective way. So Nina says, them talking about adoption story and adoption support group. So I'm guessing, yeah, okay. So again, I would just see, can you add value? So I would get into the comments and be like adding value there. Maybe you send them a message and you start a conversation and see just, can you add value? And if there's rapport, then you invite them to get on a call and connect and see from there. So that's what I would say there. All right, so Courtney will be reaching out to you for that clarity call. If anybody else watching the replay wants a clarity call, type that in the chat and be sure again to friend request me or message me directly, and I'll get back to you soon. So very fun with you all today. I know we're a little bit over time, so thanks for hanging in there. I'll be back with you all next week. and let's get your businesses rocking and rolling before the holidays. You do not need to wait. This is my last little soapbox. You do not need to wait for the end of the year or for the new year. That's the thing I keep hearing in the past week. It's like, oh, I'll do that in the new year. And I'm like, why? Why do we make November and December a wash? Obviously, you're probably going to take some time off around the holidays, but now is the time to be setting the foundation for 2023. The actions you take and the momentum you set in place now can take you into 2023 with a lot of momentum, people that are curious about working with you, etc., versus like waiting and then you're starting from scratch in January. So now is the time. All right. Thank you all. See you next week. Talk soon.